All right, let's take a look at communicating on a set, and more importantly, using a wireless headset to do it. Now today what I want to do is I want to take a look at the Saramonic WiTalk9. This is a hub-free waterproof headset system with noise cancellation that you can configure up to 9 fusers, and let's see if this is something that might be right for you to use on your set. Now over the last couple years, headsets have just become one of those essential tools for me as I've continued to grow as a film and video maker. I mean, the real reason comes down to this. It just makes life comfortable. I mean, the ability to kind of quietly and comfortably communicate with your team without screaming across the room, it makes a huge psychological and energy difference on both film sets and in commercial work. And let's be honest, your commercial clients don't want to be there and have to hear you screaming for a lens or yelling across a room. It just makes everything so much more nicer and easier to communicate and speeds up your day. And on a set, time is money, and these headsets do save you money. Now, the Saramonic WiTalk9 is a hub-free headset that's ready for use up to 9 people. What does that mean? Well, basically, this means that you can set a master headset and that will be basically a worn hub. You don't have to have a separate device to communicate with all the devices. So if you are wearing the master headset, you essentially are the communication point for up to 9 different people on this WiTalk9. Now this system also has a dual antenna setup that they state can get you up to 500 meters of stable communication. Now I'll be honest, I use this on a couple of sets. I have not gone 500 meters. That's a pretty long way. But I had no problem with the communication distance, even through walls or on any normal size set that I found for commercial or small films. The build quality of this thing, though, is what really kind of stood out to me when I first got it. There have been a lot of kind of budget headsets that have come out in the last couple of years, and usually they're compromising on the set. You put them on, and they don't feel very good. And what's amazing is when you put this thing on, it just feels very, very well constructed. It fits your head really, really well, and they really took a lot of really nice aspects here to put it in. The first thing is that it's got these kind of really nice aviation grade ear cushions on them, and they're both sweat resistant and noise isolating. That means that when you put this on, even when this thing is not on, it automatically starts to isolate the ears in there because it is such a nice ear cushion. What does this mean for you practically? Well, you can wear this piece for an entire day without any comfort issue whatsoever. I gave this to my team, asked them all about it, and none of us, even after a 10-hour day, had any issues whatsoever with wearing this on a set all day. It is a very, very comfortable headset, which when you're dealing with budget headsets is not something that's a guarantee. And I did find the sound quality of this to be decent. I mean, there's noise cancellation that you can activate in both a strong and a light mode, and while I found the sound to be kind of clear and crisp, it did have a bit of a slight digital quality to it, so you should be aware of that. Now, for me, one of the most essential components I want in any communication device on set, because I'm often operating a camera, is it needs to be hands-free. And the WiTalk9 worked pretty simple. You basically put the mic up to mute it, and you bring it back down to let it go. And this is just really simple. It means that you can communicate clearly if you're on a set operating a camera, or if you want to go and mute it, you can cut it up very easy. Now, obviously this thing is going to be wireless, so you need to have a battery built in. It's got a battery compartment here on the other side. It helps balance the weight of the cushion. You put in the battery compartment, and you're basically ready to rock and roll. Now, there is a power button here on the side of it, and what's good about this is if you cut it on, you're gonna see that it's got an indicator here on the side, and it lets you see it has a master, power, and a remote indicator. What's nice about that is it lets you know exactly which remote you have. Is this a master? Is it a remote? And it lets you make sure the power is on. And then you slip it on, and you are now talking with your team. This thing instantly pairs out of the box, but it's not that hard to pair. I'm gonna talk about it in just a second. Now, one of the first buttons you're probably going to wanna know about is going to be here on the actual microphone itself. Now, there's a button right here, and it starts off blue, and this is where you have the electronic noise cancellation of the set. You hit it once, it turns green. That's what cuts on the strong, and if you cut it once again, it goes to blue. And like I said, there are 2 layers of ENC built into this system. Blue is weak, and the green is the strong ENC. Now, I'm gonna be completely honest, having used this, the ear cushion on this is so good at isolating external sound, I never had to actually use the ENC in this on the strong level because I found this thing so well constructed and this earpiece so good that I always felt isolated. I never had a problem with extraneous noise. Now, after you set that up, you're probably going to want to control the dial. And one thing that's interesting about this system is the fact that if you look on the side, most wireless microphones have a bunch of buttons here on the actual side, but this just has a very simple, intuitive dial to get your volume. And that volume is also a button, so it does two things. One, you can put this on very, very quickly, very, very intuitively, get that volume exactly where you want, which I actually like better than pushing an up and down button. But it also, if you like, say in a master headset, so if you push it once, it'll actually put your headset into what's called an announce mode. What that'll do is that'll essentially mute all the other mics on your system. So let's say you got 9 different people on a system, you can hit this, it'll mute them, and then whoever's controlling the master can get one line of communication clearly over everyone. And speaking of the master, the WiTalk9 also has a really interesting feature in how it sets up its master. And that is the fact that any of the headsets that you get in the system can become the master. And where this is useful is, let's say you're in a situation where I want to have a pair of headsets for my lighting and electric team, but maybe the art department needs a different set of headsets. Well, you can basically set a master for each of those departments without having to go buy a bunch of extra headsets. It's a really, really great money saver, and it's very, very useful. And to set the master, all you really have to do, there's a mute button here on the side of the headset. If you hold that for 5 seconds, you'll get a status indicator light, and it's gonna switch you from a master into a remote, or from a remote into a master way. But while I like all that, my favorite thing of this is actually the fact that it has a audio jack built in that lets you get external sources of audio outside of just the wireless system. And what this means is this: you can have input from your camera or audio department that will go straight into your headset through this jack. And this is an absolutely gigantic thing to have when you are on any kind of headset, because you want to be in a situation where, let's say I want to plug into my camera, or maybe I have an audio team that's giving me stuff from the boom mic or lavalier mics. I need to monitor what is going on a set. But what I don't want to do is I don't want to have multiple headsets dangling on me to work with. I want to be able to hear from one headset and do that. And I love this because this lets me hear what's coming in, and I know exactly what's going on my team, and it's not going to communicate to the other headsets. Only I can hear them. And I was blown away to see this on such an affordable headset. So something that I really wish every headset have. Hopefully in the future they all will. But this makes a huge difference when you're on set, having this on-air monitoring. That does work, boom, straight into your headset. The other thing I found really interesting about this is there's actually a USB-C port right here, and you can plug in and link a cable and connect this unit to a phone or computer. And then what happens if you do that, you can use apps like Zoom, and you can literally plug in and use this if you're working with a remote team. Now, I didn't use this, because that's not something that really makes sense for me, but it is, I thought, a really nice kind of forward feature to have. There's also one other area of this that I found to be very, very useful, and that is going to be battery life. Especially when you're running things like this, batteries do become important because you don't want to stress about what's going on during the day. And, you know, they've got these batteries, they're pretty high capacity. They can run up to 9 hours, they say. We use these on a set all day. We had no problem whatsoever working with it. But here is what I found really, really useful. You actually get a power hub to charge all your batteries. And what that means is you can literally just slip this in. But check this out. This is a 6 battery power hub that only uses 1 power point. That means you can charge 6 batteries at once. This is absolutely something that I think every headset should ship with, because you don't want to be plugging in multiple devices to charge your hub. You want to basically plug all your batteries in at once. At the end of the day, you want to come plug into a little hub like this and make sure you can come back the next day and all your batteries are good. Now, whenever I do a review, I like to talk about rooms for improvement. And while I do think this thing has a really nice, solid construction build to it, there is one area that I think you do need to be completely aware of this thing. And that is, when you put this on, it is comfortable, the sound works, it does everything you need it to do, but just be aware there is still a bit of a delay between what the signal is said and you receiving it. And that doesn't matter whether you have the noise cancellation on or off. Now, I'll be honest, I've dealt with other systems that had what I would consider an unworkable level of delay in the system. I did not feel that with the Saramonic WiTalk9. but it's still there, and it is something you should be aware of if you are using this. Now, because of the great sound isolation that comes from the native ear cup that comes here, I found that if I was more than a few feet away from someone, like more than 4 feet, I didn't find it that distracting. It was easy to work with. But if I was within about 4 feet of someone talking to them, I did find that delay to be distracting. It is something you should be aware of if you are thinking about purchasing a system like that, just how you work and how your teams are. If you find your teams in different rooms or slightly far away, I don't think it's gonna be a problem. But if you like talking to someone very close up, just to be kind of discreet around the client, you need to be aware about that delay. Anyway, guys, that's what I have to say about this Saramonic WiTalk9. I did find it a really nice kind of budget type thing, the delay aside. So if you're looking to kind of up your game and just make your life a little less stressful and a little easier on set, it might be something that's worth considering for you. Anyway, I'd love to hear what you have to say about this. Leave me any notes and comments down below. And yeah, go out there, keep on shooting. And yeah, I'll talk to you soon.